Alright, we're back again. And we cleaned out. Like I said, I was going to get rid of those two boards. That went with this piece right here. It's just too much. And I can't think of a place to kind of display it like that. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit much. Maybe if the boards were all even, I'd keep it same height, same width, blah, 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 but I'm kind of over it, you know what I'm saying? But what I did do was go back to the shop and grab another painting because that cycle was coming to a close. Me being there, I could see that. So I wanted to start getting my stuff out of there. And went to the park today. But my God, everybody and their mama was out there today. Couldn't find a place in the sun where it was without 2 or 3 people like 5 feet away from me. There was a lot of people out there today at City Park. You know, it is what it is, but that place alone is City Park has a bit of a sacred history. I don't even want to say. I want to downplay it. It's a sacred spot, especially that tree with all the offerings that have been given to that tree over there. I myself have made quite a few offerings over there, but recently they've been popping up more and more. You'll see the flowers, you'll see the candles, you'll see you know, stuff people left behind as an offering to the tree. Which is how it's done, you know what I'm saying? That's how it's done. It's an exchange of energy because that tree heals. That tree out there in City Park heals people, whether they know it or not. And what we got is my definition of culture vulture. People who just come to take. You know what I'm saying? They don't leave anything behind. They don't leave a piece of themselves behind. They don't offer anything behind once they've experienced the energy of this place. And the sacred oak over there, we'll call it, or the singing oak over at City Park, it's a regular, you know, it's not a huge tree, but it's adorned with all these wind chimes. It's got about 5 or 6 different wind chimes, right? And what's going on? And if you just sit by it on a nice breezy day, that thing will put you in a trance. And like I said, it's a very healing place. Anytime I go over there with a problem, I come back with a solution kind of thing. Or I just feel lighter being around that. So that whole area, you know, and this is one of the things I taught in my Mayan calendar class was about energy signatures, how everything has a signature, a stamp. You know, it's like a battlefield 20 years ago. Still has a signature in that area. If you go there, you might actually, you know, feel some of that. That's how people say when they go to visit like old slave quarters and stuff like that. Like they still feel the spirits. It's a signature. Well, I still have to say City Park has that too over there by that singing oak. And it's made even stronger because more people have started to make that association and connection. You know, they realize that that is a healing area. So when they come and visit and lay out and whatnot, some people will leave a token. You know what I'm saying? They'll leave, like what I do, I burn resin out there, and before the resin goes out, I put the resin on the tree so the tree can have it. I'll leave like oranges there. You know, I've seen people leave petitions, they leave flowers, but it's an energetic exchange between you and that tree. You know, and it's it's a tricky slope because then you got the other part of the game, which is like I said, the culture vultures. Those are the a lot of the tourists that come here. You know what I mean? It's just something you take a picture in front of. You know what I'm saying? It's not nothing that you connect with. And you know, I think part of that to blame is us that live here because we don't put it out there like that. You know that this you shouldn't be touching other people's flowers and shit like that when they're laid out there. That's not your stuff to touch. You know what I mean? And you get that even in the art scene. Like if you have artwork out, people are taking pictures of your work, but they're not even tagging you or listing you as the artist. You know what I'm saying? They're just putting it on their social media as, this is what I look what I found kind of shit. Making their shit hot, whatever. And they don't patronize you. They don't even tip you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what culture vulture is to me down here in New Orleans. And because low key, it's gonna do something to you regardless when you come here with all this energy here. You're gonna have an experience. It's like nothing off limits here. You know what I mean? You can find whatever pleasure or whatever desire you're looking for. It's around every corner. But this is a very spiritual place, and there's like contracts going on all the time. You feel me? Who's that? Well, watch it. If it's doing all that to you, I mean, find somewhere else where it don't do that to you. Anyway, you just get you out of here. We don't care about none of that dumb shit. And that's the other part of it that people just don't get. There's consequences. You know what I mean? That's like you going into a store and just walking out with your food and whatever you're buying or whatever you didn't buy without paying for it. Like it's kind of like that in the spirit world. You know what I mean? The respect comes from the exchange of energy. You know what I mean? And the more heartfelt it is, the stronger that bond is. What I mean by that is you're not even really looking to take anything, or some people want power, some people want fame and all that other stuff, and that's why you see a lot of what's going on in like places like Hollywood, right? Not all people, but we know there's some people out there do that shit. But when you do things from your heart, then the upper room and the lower room work together, and you get what's called a balance. You feel what I'm saying? And it's not really to ask anything. Ask for anything. And I had a nice conversation at the shop the other day. This guy came in. You wouldn't know what to look at him, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I like about it. That he was going to the game like that. But we always have a pretty thorough conversation when he comes in to get his vegetables and whatnot. And we were talking about free will. How free will can be a bitch. Because despite spirit or whomever's best attempts to, light the way for you, so to speak, we all have that free will to choose to not do something. You know what I mean? Not to speak up, not to take action, blah, blah, blah. And it gets a little messy at the end of the day. And that's a lot of what's going on right now. It's like all those decisions are now starting to catch up. Where you should have been doing the work instead of paying attention to somebody else's shit. You know what I mean? Making your experience that much better or much more enriched than sitting back and hating on somebody who's doing that shit. And that's why people like myself and others are not so popular with other people because of that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants the cheat code, the shortcut, the easy money. And there's nothing wrong with easy money. I mean, you'll see it every now and then, but even then, that's still such a a low standard as far as forming a relationship. You know what I'm saying? That's part of it, but that's not the focus. That comes with the territory, you know what I mean? Comes with the territory. So there's no need to petition for all that stuff. You're in the interaction with whatever it is that you see as spiritual for the connection itself. It's a relationship, you know what I mean? Like your grandmother, grandfather that passed on, if you knew them, they're not dead. Just the language has changed. The relationship has changed. I still talk to my grandmother every day, you know? And I get answers. I get insight. If I'm not focused where I need to be, I still feel like I'm getting popped upside the head, you know what I mean? But I digress. What we should be talking about now, more so, to really get ourselves calibrated for this new era that we're in. But it's a tough conversation for a lot of folks. It's not popular, you know what I mean? Even though it's what's most prevalent. It's just not as apparent as what somebody's wearing or what somebody's saying. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the internal. Whew, that water tastes good. But anyway, back to the art, because that's what we are focusing on it right now, is our creativity on this channel. And encouraging the next person and the next person to continue or to find or reclaim that part of yourself. So for those of you, those of you that are new to the channel, welcome in. We've been doing retrograde energy of the planet Mercury, which is, in layman's terms, just a review of contracts, relationships, communicating things, redoing things, revisiting things, anything that has the RE, rewriting. But it's a time for review. And I pulled out a couple of paintings that had already seemingly finished. But like I was explaining to this young brother today, sometimes you give it patience. Sometimes the conversation has a learning curve that you have to learn first before the fullness of the message comes in, and you're actually looking at what you set out, what you were, led to do artistically. Might be months, might be days, might be weeks, whatever. But this one was sitting in the shop for a whole year. And I guess it must have been 2-3 months prior to that I actually almost finished it to that point. And then I brought it home and we completely did it over. We kept some of the elements, but the conversation had changed. And what I had learned between that space is now coming into play. So I say that to say a lot of your great artists, even, athletes and whatnot, the greatest of them are always learning. I'll tell you that right now. There's never a time where you're not the student. no matter how much you master, you're always going to be a student. There's always going to be something to learn about yourself or your craft. And the conversations we had prior to this one with this picture, this might be like the 5th day or the 5th video. We're in alignment with the past and seeing things in a different perspective, in a different light. And that's why this one looks 10 times better, in my opinion, than what it did when it started out. And when I get finished, I guess I'll post a community joint, which shows the original or the older version. That's right underneath this. You know what I mean? But that part of the journey was more like a timestamp, and it's still part of this journey. So to have it underneath the surface of it all is only right. But that's what gives it the texture at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's like your receipt. What they used to tell us in school, in math class, show the work. You can't just put the answer down, show the work. You know what I mean? So that's where we are with this one so far. It's still speaking, if you will. It's still speaking. But I pulled the other one out, and I want to get a little bit into that one tonight too as well. So I'm gonna let that dry for right now, but we'll hop on over to the new board, which is not so new. Just subtract it, maybe. Let you dry. And maybe we have time to come back to it. But this is one of my favorite ones. And for the most part, it is finished. There are just a few areas when I saw it that we're gonna tighten up. You know, the other one got the full overhaul, whereas this one is it's a larger piece. It's about 3 pieces, and these pieces on the side actually, when they hang, they sit in the middle like such to form the picture. So while we're doing it, you might see it sunk down. No big deal. But this is a larger piece in the middle than the previous one. But these on the sides are the same as the previous one as well. But we're going to work in all this green and all that. That's what I really want to touch up. This green and this blue, and kind of smooth it out. And get some of these little spots hooked up, put a little bit more highlights, you know, bring stuff out in. So that's what we're going to do with this part. But I really wanted to get that green. So we got the guns today. Got some good blues. A little sage. I thought I had some mint. But mint got blue. There we go. We'll use that up. And we got a bit of this aqua, but we have this beautiful bright mint as well. I guess we'll use some of that too. So 20 minutes in and we only had one of the crazies come through. We must be doing something right. Alright. Let's test the waters real quick. See what the bad boys look like. Yeah, it's a nice highlight color. So we'll be using a lot of this up here. But that's one thing I've noticed being down here as long as I've been down here about New Orleans. Like if you strip everything away, you just remove certain elements, like you can really see how beautiful this place is. The culture, the music, the art, the food, etc., etc. But history that's in the land itself. It has a conscience. It speaks to you if you really listen. And it's got a beautiful soul. But we're just besieged by a lot of, like corruption and all this other stuff going on down here. Job, housing, you name it. You know what I mean? It can kind of take away from the experience if you focus too much on it. But a trip to New Orleans is almost a pilgrimage. It's a pilgrimage, you know what I'm saying? It's supposed to transform you. You're supposed to die when you come here, metaphorically speaking. Meaning that even if your offering isn't like flowers or anything like that, you leave a piece of yourself here, something that you don't take with you, something that you leave behind. And that's considered just as good an offering as any, if not the best kind, is to let a piece of yourself die here and be reborn. So what's this? Sage green. It's got a hint of yellow in it. I like it. And now is the time for a new new kind of spell book, if you will, a new set of terms, because the old ones are defunct. You know what I mean? Everybody named Mama do voodoo, whether they want to say it, admit it or not. You know what I mean? Especially down here. Somebody can look as Christian or whatever they want to, but they be turning that chicken upside down and cutting that throat just like all the rest of them in a way. But I just say that to say it's diluted something that was once pure. Got too many hands in the pot, and everybody's doing the same thing. So it's like everybody's wearing on that same battery, and it loses that charge. Yeah, we're not going to do too much more to this, but we are, because we're kind of moving here. I like this already. Wish that crowd was here from the other night. We had a great conversation. This that color. We're gonna attempt to play with some of this. Let's see if it's the right color. Oops, that's a whole lot. It's close enough. We got a darker blue though. Let's get some lavender. And plus, last time I didn't have all these beautiful colors to play with. We got a lot of colors to play with. Mm. But I'm not mad. I've learned a lot. Can't be mad at it, especially if you learn something from it. I think we'll do something with these lips too. They're gonna go a little bit more purple. There's something up here too. I like the eyes, but I don't know if I like the lashes. They're more eyes that live underwater and deal with darkness. So I don't think pupils go good here. Let's go back to base matter. We're going to take it down. Take the color down. Again, we're not going to be scared of it. We're just going to dive in. Now we're going to work our way back in to the dark. Doesn't look like I'm going to go too dark. Now those are lips you should have. Let's find that pink. And now that kind of feeds into the pink in other areas. You gotta take it down just a little bit, just a little bit. Mm. All right, let's see. I'm taking on a bit more serious tone now. But fear not. Interesting. Definitely added some depth. Almost there. Well, shoot, we're about a minute away. Yeah. I think when we come back, we're gonna deal with the hair, as it were, on the surrounds. I still like the color schemes. I think they just need to be ironed out. And we got white, so we'll do some of these. We'll do some of these scales over. But yeah, she definitely looks better. Just enough. Just a little bit. And we'll handle that dragon a little bit too. Well, all right, good people. If you're out here watching still, I appreciate you. Have a great night. Anybody else coming in, have a great night. Everything's in the description box. You know how to get at your boy. Peace.